Hi everyone. Today I want to share the Curvy Celebrations promotion from Stampin' Up. Now this is kind of a large promotion, so I thought I would make a video because I wanted to go through everything that's in it and point out some little things you might miss. So first off, it's kind of an early release deal because this quite curvy stamp set and curvy dies are going to be in the spring mini catalog that comes out in January. But you can get it now as part of this promotion. So this is a sneak peek, early release, and then also part of this deal is Curvy Christmas. And Curvy Christmas is a limited time only stamp set. It is not going to be in the spring mini catalog. So it's just for now. It's only going to be here through the end of December. So you've got just a few months to get this one, or a month and a half to get this one. And it coordinates nicely with the quite curvy stamp set in that you've got similar imagery. I've used this bow on a few cards, so you'll see that. And then the curvature of the sentiments matches with the dies here and the curvature of the images. So it's a nice bundle to have. And then there's even more, but wait, there's more. There's also a paper collection that goes with it, and the images in the paper collection match the images in the Christmas stamps. So it's, and the trees and the stars and things. So you've got 2 stamp sets and dies and paper all together, and if you get all of it, you would save 10% off the entire bundle, the whole thing. So normally when Stampin' Up! Releases a bundle of just stamp and die, you get 10% off just these 2 items. But this time you can get 10% off all 4 items. So that is a lot going on here, and I wanted to make sure that you see all the little things that are involved here. Now the paper is called Classic Christmas, and it's truly what it is because you've got classic Christmas colors, shaded spruce and cherry cobbler, and then the images are very classic Christmas too, stars and pine trees. There's some nice sprigs here that look like maybe little holly berry sprigs or mistletoe. I think this looks more like mistletoe, but then here you've got pine needles and berries, so really Christmassy. But then a lot of these patterns are not Christmassy, like here, this one. You can use this all year round, and that one. And there's some that are just dots and these lines. So you've got all these papers that are great all year round and especially at Christmas. So that's the bundle. And then I wanted to show you so many things that I made with it. I sat down to make a couple samples yesterday because I wanted to make one card with you and then show you a couple extras. But then I sat down and I ended up spending the entire day making samples because it was really fun. I'm like, oh, I'll make one like this. Well, maybe I'll make one like that. Or, oh, let me show you it this way or that way. And then the whole day had gone and I had to make dinner. So I never got to make the video. So then I did the same thing again today. I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll make a couple more of the Christmas one since Christmas is coming up. And I had made so many that were not Christmas. And I ended up spending hours again today. So I have, I think, 20 samples. So I am going to put them all up as stills at my blog, Best Paper Cuts, and also my Facebook page so that you can see those images as stills so that you can maybe, if you want to get ideas or maybe copy some of them, you can, and then you can see them without having to rewind and fast forward and figure out where did you see that card. So I'm going to show them to you briefly now, and then you can go to my website and see them there. Okay, so this is the flyer, and it talks about the different ways that you can purchase. Just the Christmas stamp set, just the Christmas paper, just the spring stamp set, or the whole kit and caboodle. So this flyer will be up at my blog as well. Oh, and I also have a frequent buyer rewards program there too. So if you purchase, you can keep track of your points and earn free stamps. So that's a fun thing. That's up at my blog as well as a newsletter. Sign up for that. So first what I like to do when I get a new stamp is I like to kind of make a copy-ish of their sample. And I think it's a kind of a good way to dive into the product. So I did make this one here, and I thought this was really nice, and this would be good in a variety of colors. And I even thought of doing a variety of blues with some Sahara sand at the bottom, and it would look like waves and a beach, and you could like put a little seashell down at the bottom, and that would be fun. Or just anything. You could use these curves for anything. Pastels, and it'll be a baby card. Brights with a big old star at the bottom, or it's congratulations. Just whatever you want it to be. So that's nice. And then I made this sample just to play around with that, and I thought that was fun. And here they didn't use any of the long curves, but they used a lot of the floral boughs and these little branches here. So that is nice for just a hello. This one says love you, but you can kind of do whatever you want there. This was so easy. It was just one die cut pass and then just a little bit of paper. So these dies can just work with everything you have already, which is nice. So it just adds a nice little lacy edge. So this is kind of an elegant card. You can put congratulations here and some pearls and it would be a nice wedding card. This is the prized peony paper. And here's one more petal pink card. And here you're using the curves to kind of do a peekaboo. You can put any paper back here, make this bright and cheery, make it subtle, make it whatever you want. So that's fun. And these little florals and these little birds were so fun to color. I stamped these images. I stamped these and the birds and the boughs on a piece. I had a big piece of Whisper white paper and I stamped a whole bunch of them, and I just colored and colored and colored, and then I cut them all out and had a pile and then just made cards until I finished the pile. And I just found one more bird that didn't make it onto a card, so I have to find a little home for that bird. Here's another one with a little bird and that little floral spray there. This one, and see, you can use any paper you have. Look at this with this bright cherry paper. This is the Flowers for Every Season with Just Jade and Magenta Madness. So just look at what you own and you can make something because it just goes with everything. That's really fun. Here is one with that leaf. And here I colored the leaf in with the shaded spruce. This is shaded spruce here. This is going to a friend, and here are those little birds. Really fun. Here's another one of those leaves. See, I told you I did a whole page of leaves. Now this one I did a quick color where I left the edges white, like that one. I forget the name of that plant. My mom always had them, where they had white edges on the leaves. And these little blue birds. Here's another one, more of those leaves, and then peeking the little, kind of do a little peekaboo of the sentiment in the middle. Here's a bow. The bow is from the Christmas set, so you can kind of mix and match. Let's see, what else did I make? Oh, I used those leaves again, but this time I stamped them on Sahara sand, and I was able to still get some bright colors because Sahara sand is not a super deep color, and yet it gives it a different look. Instead of having that white edge around it, it has a more of an earth tone color around the leaves. And I was able to color this with the Stampin' Blends, and this one is colored with the watercolor pencils. So it's just very similar. And then this paper is the In Good Taste Designer Series paper. So that's fun. And then, I think the rest are all Christmas. Let me see. Yes. Okay. So then I went into Christmas mode and I did a wreath. And here, this little piece here is what's kind of left over at the end of cutting all of these with the dots in them. You end up with a lot of little scraps of paper that look like this, you know. And then I thought, well, I could use those too. So I used that for this one. So hang on to these, they could be fun. Okay, and then I made this one is right here on the flyer. I don't know if it's still on camera shot, this one. And so I wanted to try that, and we'll make this together at the end because I want to show how to move your die around to get the different curves. Let's see, what else did I make? I made this one with the trees. I really liked this one a lot. The tree image I thought was so cute. It's kind of whimsical and looks like hand-drawn, little loops. Real simple drawing, and I thought it was cute. So I wanted to use that. And here, this is no dies used here at all. And I just made myself a mask and sponged the background. So that's a really simple card. No dies at all. 2 seconds to, really fast comes together. And so that's fun. Oh, I forgot to point out that, see here, these papers used in the background here are all from that Christmas paper set, but I just used it not for Christmas. I think I did another one. Yeah, this is that same Christmas paper. Classic Christmas, but in a non-Christmas way. Here's another with those trees. I really enjoyed these trees. Okay, and then I went with this one, and this was fun, and we're going to make this one together. I want to show you how to manipulate your stamps a little bit and get it perfect, and this little embossing is really sweet to do. And then I got a couple in a swap. So I got this one in a swap. This was made by Cindy Westerink, and she used the same little stars here, but on the white, and she added a star from the Stitch Stars dies. Really fun. I like the little bling. And then I got another swap. This one was from Laura Bardo, and this one also uses a Stitch Star, and it's similar to this one, but it's a little box card. So just, you can use these papers, and she mixed up the edging here, really pretty. She's got the lacy one here and the dotted one. So I think that they just work so nicely together. It's just a really great collection. Anyway, so that's a lot of samples. The last two we're going to make together. So this one is I'm doing Christmas together because that's what's kind of on my mind these days. So we're going to do this one and this one. And I chose these because here I wanted my dies to line up. So I wanted my swooshes to kind of go the same way. And here you don't want them to go the same way. So I kind of wanted to show both ways to do this. And maybe I'll do a separate video with some of these other ones just because I don't want to be too long here. So anyway, let's do these two together. They're actually faster than you might think, but I wanted to give you some tips. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, for this card I have a base of Night of Navy, and then I've also cut a piece of Night of Navy by 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got some coordinating colors that I thought looked pretty together. So this is Seaside Spray, Whisper White, and then I've got that Sahara Sand star paper from that Classic Christmas pack I showed you. So you've got these pieces here. And then this one is actually quite simple. You're going to want to cut these papers out. Now here I wanted my curves to match. So you're going to notice that one side has a cutting surface and the other side doesn't cut. So you're going to think about that and think about where you want your cuts to be. So I thought that this more deep cut here is kind of interesting. So I'm going to cut along this little curve. So then when I go to cut this one, you're going to want to kind of line it up to make sure that you get the same curve. So I'm going to cut this out. So now when I go to cut out this piece in Whisper White, I'm going to kind of hold my die and kind of try to match it. And then I can hang on to these and I can make some fun little something else with that. So now we're going to move on to stamping. So for this one, the background here is just going to be some pretty gold stars. So let me grab stars and some Versamark. And I'm going to randomly stamp some stars along my background. I put both of them on the same block just to save myself some time. I think I have enough. And I'm going to use my gold embossing powder. Probably should have used a larger sheet of scrap paper here. Okay, now this one, you're going to put your stars along here. So I am using the little star swoosh stamp. Now here you can manipulate these photopolymer stamps. Kind of a nice thing about photopolymer. So let's say you feel like this angle is not perfect to what you want to do. You can change it a little bit. Get a little bit of play here. So I like to kind of adjust it and see if I can get it even more in line. I think I did a pretty good job with my swoosh. Maybe I was a little too drastic over here. Okay, so I've got that how I want it. Okay, same thing with this one. We're going to be able to manipulate the May Your Days Be Merry and Bright. So kind of look at it and see, does something need to change? Like I feel like I want that one going more. Like so. I really want to emphasize that curve, because that is fun. Okay, I like it. Right, that pad was really juicy, so I'm going to let that sit for a second just so that I don't smear it. And I'll clean off my stamps. Now you're just going to line these up. So there we go. Oop, I meant to cut this here. See, I go too fast sometimes on these videos, and I meant to cut that. I'm going to try not to get glue. No, I'm just not going to cut it. I'm going to let it go. And I'll cut it when I'm done. So I don't want to get glue on my cutter. Okay. So we'll go like this, and then we'll do this one, and then we'll cut it. All right, so I wanted to make sure that my base here was 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut it down here. Okay, now I'm going to chop off anything hanging over the edges. So let's see. There we go. And you can clean up your sides too if you need to. I think I did maybe on this side. Yeah. There. Okay. So you'll see on this one I let some of the navy hang through at the bottom, but I didn't on this one because I had glue on there because I forgot to cut it. And I think either way is fine. And so then I'm just going to tie some gold trim around the card. Now there's a small gold twine in the Forever Greenery collection that has a tiny little gold. This one is actually older, as part of a Baker's Twine pack that I'm trying to use up. So my gold might be a tiny bit different than the other pack. Here's the other pack. It's a little softer. It's almost exactly the same. So before opening that, I wanted to use up what I have. So I wrapped around 1, 2, 3 times, and then came around to the front and tied a bow. I put a little glue dot behind the bow just to kind of keep it exactly where I want, and it also keeps it from falling apart. And then we're just going to go ahead and mount that onto our card base. I like to give a few dimensionals on there. All right, there's one. I hope you like that one. Okay, so for this next card, we're going to use a base of Sahara sand. And then we need a piece of Whisper White cut 4 inches across, and then the length is going to be determined on our stamping. And then we're going to use a bunch of those papers from the Classic Christmas DSP Pack, Designer Series paper stack. And let's start with stamping. And the reason why we want to start with stamping is because if you cut, what if you don't give yourself enough space? So I like to start with stamping on this particular card. Sometimes it doesn't matter. So we're going to stamp. I like to stamp the center sprig first, and then we're going to do the one on either side. And then the sentiment we're going to do in Cherry Cobbler. And I wanted it to kind of swoosh upwards, so I'm going to move this like so. Nice. Okay, now here is where you want to, this is why I wanted to lay it out, because you want your swoosh to kind of go in line with this, with the words. So you want to make sure you have the cut edge down. See, one edge is not, doesn't cut and the other edge does, so make sure you have the cut edge down, and then move this, you don't want it here because then see it dips down, so move it so that it makes sense with your sentiment. So here it kind of goes in line with the curve that I created. Now you can cut first and manipulate your stamp like I showed you on the other one. I was only worried about the spacing of my sprigs, but you can decide what works for you. And I think that is a nice curve. So I've got a tiny bit hanging off this side, a lot more hanging, and I'm making sure my cut edge is down. Like that. And then I'll save this for something else. Okay, now moving on for this card, all you're going to do is alternate colors and alternate where you want your cutting edge to fall. So you're going to move the die on different angles all the way down until you get a nice variety of edges. Now sometimes it's nice to cut the full length and then you can trim it later, or if you happen to have some small scraps that are already the right size, then you can tilt your paper or your die, whichever one. And then to glue this together, how I did it, is I kind of built my way down here. And I think I wanted green first, so let's put this one down. Now if you find it's hard to keep a nice clean edge, you can glue it down to a piece of scrap paper too, and that way you've got it, something to glue onto that's easier for you to manage. I kind of like that this one's barely showing all the way across. Okay. I'm making kind of a mess for myself, but you can be cleaner. I like using the liquid glue because I can manipulate back and forth a little bit. Now I'm starting to worry that I got a little long, so let's check that out. I want this to be 5 1/4 long, so I'm going to put it at the 5 1/4 on my grid paper and see if I went too long. I did go really long, look at that. So let me see if I can manipulate some of these. That green's pretty long. So I moved it up a little bit. Now, is it too long? No. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim the sides. Okay, so this one is a little messy, and let me just say it's because I have had quite a morning with this day. It's one of those days, you know how it is. So for the top, I stamped a little bow onto a piece of cherry cobbler, and here's what I'm saying, but I had quite a day. I got through an entire video making this one and realized I forgot to add the little words here. And then I went through it again, and I think I threw the other one away. And I had the cut edge wrong, so it had just issues. So I'm going to salvage this one by stamping another bow. And I'm going to use the small Merry Christmas and hopefully put it there. Let's see how I do. There we go. My electricity's going on and off. We have a little bit of a storm going, so it's a little dark in here. Okay. Could have been better. It's quite a storm brewing outside, and my lights are dimming, and it's kind of crazy. So hopefully it's not too dark, my video. Now there's not a die for the bow, but it's not a difficult shape, so you can kind of cut it out, or you could even use a ribbon and make a real bow. I'm going to do something different with this one. I think I might cut it short and maybe make it go this way and do something else, just because it got really wonky and messy down here, which is why I like this one better. So I'm going to put it here. Sometimes when you get frustrated, you go too fast and you make mistakes, which I did on that one quite a bit. Ooh, almost did another one. It's one of those days. That'll teach me for stamping on a stormy night. Alright, that one is done. Where's my original? It's much better. There we go. You can add some little bling to that if you like. There, the original is much better. I had a rough day, like I said. Sorry about that. Okay, so, and I already filmed another one where I messed up even worse because I forgot to put the words. So I'm going to call it done for now. But it's really fun to cut all these little curves, and I really enjoyed making a lot of these really fun patterns. So I'm going to put photos of each one of these up at my blog and my Facebook page. And hopefully some of them inspired you. I kept playing with it. I got it out to make a video on just a couple things, and I thought, well, I'll make a few more just to see what it's like with a die and see what it's like without a die, and so I just kept making them, and then before you knew it, the whole day had gone by. So that's why I had to film it today, because I just ran out of time yesterday. I just kept making. I made over 20. There's over 20 cards here on my desk. I just spent the afternoon stamping and cutting, and it was a lot of fun. I particularly like these trees, so I hope you'll do something with that. I think I'll do a video just maybe on these two by themselves. And anyway, lots here, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope you didn't get too aggravated with me when I made this one. Thanks for watching. Bye.